Good morning, folks, and welcome. This is Spoon TV Live. This Thursday morning, coming to you from just around the Vamuma intersection. This is along the Totman Boulevard. This is day 2 of the Liberia National Police enforcement on motorbikes plying the main Totman Boulevard unless they can fulfill requirements as prescribed by the Liberia National Police. And there are 8 counts ranging in those requirements. Safety helmet for passenger and rider. The bike rider should wear a reflector jacket. The bike should be registered, should be insured. The bike rider should dress properly and wear shoes or sneakers. And this has also caused a drastic reduction in the number of motorcycles plying the main Totman Boulevard. But what it has done, it has also increased the number of pedestrians walking along the Totman Boulevard. Like what you see right now, this bike is being removed from the Totman Boulevard to ensure that all of the requirements are met. Yesterday it was to a large extent peaceful, and we did hear some dissatisfaction from some motorcyclists, but there's been an improvement in the security presence here at the Vamuma junction. So what you see now, the police have brought in their water truck, the truck that sprays water at a very high pressure rate. That truck was not here on yesterday. It's now stationed here. So instead of so many patrol officers, now what we see is a lot of riot police officers have also been stationed here. This is a major intersection. This road comes from the airfield, Lakpasi, and the other parts, Old Matadi, New Matadi, and beyond. And as you can see, you see a lot of pedestrians walking as well. So yesterday we had the motorcyclists just stationed at the assembly point signboard where you see the fellow in the orange face cap is. But now what the police have done is they've pushed them further down towards Rototown to allow for people to be able to walk all the way and meet them, and to reduce the distance between the Vamuma intersection and that of motorcyclists that are taking passengers or who will be attempting to come onto the Totman Boulevard. So right now it's further down towards Rototown. That's where the buffer zone is, and this entire stretch now only motorcyclists who are going to fulfill all of the requirements, so meaning they have to pass and be inspected by police officers at that barrier there, and if they fulfill all of the requirements, then they'll be allowed to this end of the road and subsequently onto the Totman Boulevard. So we've seen a lot of walking again this morning. We'll be attempting to speak to as many persons as possible and see if we can go to the motorcyclists and speak to them as well. There's been the lighter side to this with a Facebook challenge, the helmet challenge, where you see folks are using all sorts of materials mimicking helmets. But some have said when every public policy is imposed and is being enforced, you have resistance, and eventually once the instituting authority is stern on making sure that this enforcement continues, you definitely see compliance. So at this stage, people are asking the questions, why can I share one helmet with thousands of passengers? And others have said, look, you can also get yourself a helmet if you think that is the problem, or better still, you can get on board a taxi or you get on board a keke. But are you saying that motorcyclists should provide one helmet for each and every passenger? That is not possible. So the issue of the helmet challenge on social media that we've seen, but it's not as though folks are totally against this enforcement. Others have said that motorcyclists should be given so much time to get themselves accustomed to all of the requirements. But those who are arguing have said, look, we've given them 3 months, and the 3 months states that you cannot apply the road within 3 months if you cannot fulfill these requirements. So if you know that applying this main road gives you money, this main Totman Boulevard and other major road corridors that have been earmarked by the Liberia National Police. Go and get a helmet. We've seen the market also spring up on social media. Helmet and reflective jacket being sold for 15 United States dollars. So if you can get yourself a helmet and a reflective jacket, and you can register your motorcycle for 25 USD, and you can insure it for 60 USD, and you can get helmet for and reflective jacket for 15 USD, that puts you somewhere around 80 to 85 United States dollars. And some say motorcyclists don't have that money. So those are proponents of the government, and those who are in favor of the government are saying that, look, 3 months you can raise $80 and buy those required materials and fulfill the requirements. Within that 3 months, you can be running along the community roads to raise that money. So this is where we are at this moment. This is day 2. Remember, the 12th graders are writing their regional exams, the West African Senior Secondary Certificate Exam, the WAS, if you want to call it that way, or WASI for those of you in Ghana and other parts, that's how it's called. And there's been a serious strain on transportation as well. So we are going to bring you all of the coverage, all of what is happening here at the Totman Boulevard. So I do see the chief of, you want to call it the riot police in Liberia. I see Godfrey is also here and his men, they stationed their water canister truck as well. And if you take a look at the Totman Boulevard, there is now an increased number of motorcyclists as compared to yesterday. Those that are in compliance, others have seen that, okay, the government is not shaking. They still stand, they're rock solid on what they're doing. So they've gone to get their reflector jackets, their helmets, and register their bikes, like you see these two fellows here. They're okay. And there's been light jest and gesture of, this whole helmet wearing scenario that somebody jokingly posted on Facebook, that one of the advantages of wearing a helmet, aside from being safe, is the fact that you can pass by your husband's office without him knowing, or your partner's residence or office without them recognizing you. But again, that is the lighter side that is being seen. But for those who are affected by walking long distances, they don't see it that way. They see it as a means, a very, 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 very cardinal means of transportation has been taken away from them. And the only remedy now is either to readjust their schedules or to endure the muscle straining exercise of walking from long distances. We spoke to folks who on yesterday walked from as far as ELW Junction, and now we'll be attempting to speak to some folks again this morning. My name is Diamond Slanger. What you see happening here is happening at major intersections or junctions leading to the Totman Boulevard. There is another police presence at the JFK junction on 22nd Street. There is another police presence. You see the chief of riot himself is sweeping this morning, and this tells you that the Liberia National Police, from all angles, from the top down, they all involved in this particular process. Morning, chief, how you doing? Morning, boss man. How are you? You care if I speak to you for 1 minute? Yeah. I'll put you on camera, you mind? Yeah. Okay. Morning, your name?
My name is
Emmanuel. Oro. And where you headed to? Okay. So what's your take on this whole enforcement exercise? What's your take on it? Good, bad, and if so, what do you have to say?
Well, it's good for us because you can see the Motorbike incident was too much and gunpoint all over. And to wear protective gear as a motorbike rider, I think it's necessary for us. And although we're suffering for the meantime, but as time comes, we used to hear and adapt to it and move on.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So he says he's in favor of the enforcement, though now they're bearing the brunt of it, walking considerable distances. But as more motorcyclists comply, the number of persons walking will also reduce. Gentlemen, your money, how you doing? Am I if I talk to you for a minute? All right, sorry. All right, so people are walking. Those who give us the audience to speak with us, we speak to them. Morning, Papa, how you doing this morning? Morning. You care if I talk to you? Okay. All right. So we'll see if we can talk to as many persons as possible to see what's their take on this whole enforcement exercise. Morning, Chief. How you doing? Morning, how are you? Mind if I talk to you for a minute quickly? As you walk in, I can walk along with you. Your name, sir?
I'm William Jerome.
William Jerome, where you headed this morning? Where you headed to?
From Soul Clinic.
You walk from Soul Clinic?
No, I'm not on a bike.
And where did the bike put you? Okay, so they're not stopping bikes from coming from Soul Clinic to this side? Okay, how do you see this enforcement? How do you rate this enforcement? Why good and bad?
Like for me, I have a bike and I am an officer.
Okay.
But then the police officer don't recognize the police officer. Whether in uniform or not, they don't.
On the overall public safety, is this a policy you want to enforce?
Of course. But don't be partial.
Okay, sir. All right, thank you. Thank you. So he says he's a police officer, but he's not. Okay, LIS officer, but he's not in compliance, and he wanted them to use their discretion. And the police officers doing the enforcement have said, whether you LIS, whether you DA, whether you correction services, whatever, everybody should be in compliance. And he says at least they should do it and not be partial, or they should do it with some discretion. But as you see, students are also riding a bike. So as I was saying earlier, there's been a number of there's been an increase in the number of motorcyclists that are complying. You know, yesterday there was a limited number of motorcyclists on the road, but today you see that others have decided to comply. You know, morning, Chief, how you doing? You care if I thought of you 1 minute? Huh? You care if I thought of you for 1 minute?
Yes.
How far you coming from the morning? Your name? You from Oro, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So how you see the whole enforcement? If they are not for the enforcement, you're going to ride motorbike?
Oh. Yeah, me, I have my motorbike, but they say I don't have a lesson and
Insurance and helmet and all those things.
I can't ride the bike on the video. That's why I go and pack my bike.
So what will you do now? You'll comply and get your license, your insurance, and everything?
Yes, right now I will come my way to the ministry.
To go register?
Yes.
How you see the whole enforcement, the whole be protected before you get on the road?
Right, but what I see there is if one person will be using, or 100 person will be using one helmet, because I will not take helmet and use it. Another person can take the same helmet and use it. It's not fair.
So you encourage people to start buying their own helmet?
Yes.
Okay.
If no way.
So how much for helmet?
Let the rider get a helmet.
But what about the passenger? If only the rider gets the helmet, the passenger can fall and also get hurt and sustain serious head injury.
We are not in heavy speed. On the main road, like here to Tanta.
So you against the whole helmet business?
Helmet. Yeah. Only the rider for me.
Or for you?
Yes.
Okay. All right, but thank you. You say you're going to register your bike, eh?
No, the bike is ready, so everything.
So what are you going to do now?
Documents, okay. Lesson and insurance.
All right, go and get it, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so he says the fact that he's being deprived of using his bike because he hasn't fulfilled the requirements, you know. Morning, Chief. You care if I thought of you for 1 minute? You care if I thought of you for 1 minute? But how you see the enforcement? Let me take you off the camera. You off the camera. How you see the whole enforcement?
Well, the enforcement is workable, so it is for the betterment of each of us and the safety of each of us.
But are those that are complaining, like I see you trekking this morning, is it voluntary trekking or is enforced that you trekking this morning because there is no bike available?
Well, I will not term it as volunteer or involuntary, but I mean, once the possibility does not exist, I mean, you can't sit and wait and think that it should be before you move. So that's the reason why I have to do this move.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you in favor of this enforcement exercise?
Oh, sure.
There are others who are saying the government should relax on this and allow the motorcyclists to not fulfill the requirements and get straight back on the road without the helmets and all of the requirements. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's wrong, because once we don't do that, we keep dragging, and what happens most is we endanger our own citizens. So let people see the enforcement as a way of prevention and then help to move for our own self. So we should not be the one to deny it, because if we keep delaying, we just don't have the solution. So there got to be time for someone to do the enforcement.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. So he opted to speak behind camera because of a job that he does, but still weighed in with his opinion that indeed this enforcement is welcoming. There's going to be the issue of resistance at the initial stages, but people are going to comply. Like you see these bike riders along the main Tottenham Boulevard, they're now wearing helmets for a passenger, helmet for a rider. And there are those who are complaining that, look, why will 99 others, share a single helmet, and others are saying now helmet is for sale. If you think you ride bike regularly and that's your paramount means of transportation, then all you need to do is to also probably get yourself a helmet that costs $10 to $15. And for riders, the helmet set is on social media, helmet and a reflective jacket for $15. People are now engaging in the business. So it's the opening of a new business front. There are those saying the money is expensive, but registration is $25. Insurance is $60. The helmet and the reflective jacket is $15. So if you do your math, it's somewhere around $80 to $85 thereabouts. So if you have 3 months to comply, you can use the 3 months. According to those who are arguing in favor of the government, you can use the 3 months or less than the 3 months to apply within the communities for which you are unhindered and get yourself the requirements, and then you can put your bike on the road. If you're riding for somebody, like many of the bike riders are doing work and pay, you can ask the person whose bike you're riding, I should say, to purchase these things and make sure the bikes are fulfilling all the requirements, and that amount can be added to whatever premium you have to pay to be able to win the bike, as we call it here in Liberia, or to get a bike for yourself on hire purchase. So there are other options. Others are saying engage stakeholders to have donations made to the various bike centers, parking stations, and the rest. But at the end of the day, we're seeing that there's been much compliance, so far, though we see a lot of folks walking. The folks you see coming towards me, many of them are coming from the old road. Some of them are coming from as far as, yesterday we spoke to folks who came from as far as the ERWA junction and the rest, and people are trying to make their way to their destinations as possible. Without the enforcement, you would have seen a fleet, or if you want to say an army of motorcycles on the middle lane here. For those that are coming from the Pinsville side, they usually take the middle lane on the right hand, on the left side of the driver, and it becomes a serious hazard. Whether or not as many of them get insured and registered and have their bikes, with all of the safety gears, whether or not again we'll see a spike in that. But for now, the main Tottenham Boulevard is majority cleared, and all we see now is folks walking and coming from various directions. 12th graders are, this is their second day as well of the West African Senior Secondary Certificate exams, and this is the Tottenham Boulevard minus the regular army or fleet of motorcycles that you usually see along the road. So all of these folks you see, many of them are coming from very far distances, and they're making their way. What's up, how you doing? What's up, my man? You care? I thought even 1 minute. Okay, so he's in. So okay, she's going and doing her work as well. So this is the scene on the Tottenham Boulevard this morning, and it's happening at ERWA Junction. It's happening at SD Cooper Junction. It's there at the Jalatan end, and it's all over along the Tottenham Boulevard. We'll make our way to the Japan Freeway to also bring you pictures from there as well. What's up, morning? So more compliance. What's up, cheap money? Alright, folks, this is how we bid you farewell here from the Tottenham Boulevard just before the Vamuma House, day 2 of the enforcement. Once we get back to where the motorcyclists are, we'll speak to a few of them and then we wrap up this coverage for this morning. But the enforcement is in full swing, and you can see the results. For those who are, I don't want to use the word against, but not in favor of this enforcement at this moment, they're saying that the government should relax and allow motorcyclists back on the road because they too are providing for their family members. But for those who are proponents and supporters of this particular enforcement, they've said yes, they've not taken away their livelihood. There are still community roads to ply on, but the lives and safety of not just passengers but other road users and motorists, including pedestrians, is also paramount, and that there shouldn't be a relaxing on the enforcing of law and order and public policy, especially when it's centered around public safety. The question is, if we do not stiffen up now, when will we be able to? And whenever a policy is imposed and that policy is being enforced and then is revoked or is relaxed or is suspended, it also breeds the habit of civil disobedience, where people now see that nothing ever works. Whenever there is a pressure on the government caves in and good policies are hereby abandoned. And from all looks of things, this government and this police force seemed very, very tunnel visioned and fixed on making sure that this enforcement is carried out to the letter. In this game of who's going to shake and who's going to comply, so far the LNP and the government of Liberia seems to be in a very solid position. As to when motorcyclists, as we heard rumors of such on yesterday, are going to protest against this, then it also brings back the question of awareness or continuous awareness to make motorcyclists aware and put them in the know that their livelihood or the extra income of plying on the major road has not been taken away. Rather, it's been put under strict supervision. That if you want to ride along the Totman Boulevard, all you need to do is to get your bike registered, get your bike insured, make sure you have a safety helmet, not just for you, but for your passenger. Take one passenger at a time, dress properly, wear shoes, a pair of shoes or a pair of sneakers, and you'll be allowed to ply the major corridors here in Liberia. So we're making our way to where the motorcyclists are and see if we can speak to them quickly. This is along the Vamuma, the airfield road leading to Vamuma. We headed back towards the Roto town end and to see if we can speak to some motorcyclists. So on yesterday you had the barrier somewhere around here, just around this end. That is where the LNP had their no-go zone. The buffer zone was established, but this morning it's been pushed further down. So again, thereby making sure that the police can also keep an eye on the detour through Roto town that can be used by motorcyclists who want to violate and get on the Totman Boulevard. And even if they do, they manage to slip through the drag nets here. There are also extra police officers right at the Roto town junction along the Totman Boulevard and also along the old road end. So there's been serious deployment. Yesterday I did witness about the police truck making 3 trips, and on all of those trips the back of the truck was full. Yes, the back of the truck was full with motorbikes. So for those who think they can, violate, there is the consequence of losing your bike and paying a hefty fine. If you want to continue riding your bike without enforcing those measures put in place, all you need to do is to ride within the confines of your community. So now we just watch it for a while. You see all the folks that are walking from this barrier all the way to the Vamuma house. They're in search of taxi cabs or compliant motorcyclists to take them to their various destinations. So you see the distance between where the motorcyclists have been pegged and pinned back to the actual Vamuma junction. So there in our shot, as I zoom a bit, is the police water canister truck in our view. And that you can see is also where the motorcyclists used to be before. So we want to see if we can speak to some of the motorcyclists, but serious walking is ongoing. It's either people reschedule their activities, readjust their scheduling, adapt different means of transportation aside from motorcycles. But once the motorcyclists are trying to put themselves in compliance, those that are benefiting at the moment are the keke riders and the taxi drivers. So it's open season for keke riders and taxi drivers at this moment, especially those that are applying the corridor from town to ERWA or from town to Old Road. It's open season for the taxi drivers. It's open season for the keke riders who are applying the route from Matadi, Sinkor to town. Motorcyclists can ply on the Charlatan belt, the road there, but you cannot take your passengers to town. So what we see is some of the folks are using that route to get to Charlestown, and then they make their way to town if they can get on board a keke. I mean, how you doing? Well, I'm doing my well, bro. You want me to put you inside and just one inside? Yeah? Yeah. How you doing? Well, I'm doing my well. So please, when you're for argument, because you're going to get angry with people for the wrong reason. So, we, right here, at where the motorcyclists have been pinned back by the police. What's up, Dad? How you doing? You fair? You want to talk to me 1 minute? Why you fair? Do I put you on the camera? I can talk to you on the camera showing. I just want to hear why you fair. Why you calculating? How you get your money to buy your man today?
Yeah. I do work and pay. I think the more you are going to spend your rent,
oh, you doing work and pay?
Work and pay.
So there are people who saying that if you're doing work and pay, why you can't talk to the person who buy you riding to add a helmet and then gas money, the insurance, everything, and then you pay them their money as you're working for the bank, so that one will just add them. You think another option?
Pay 1,250 for motorbike. If the woman is showing you back or buying insurance, everything, it will be expensive.
So what you think, you're just riding the community, or you want the government to just drop the whole thing?
So that only motorbike riding, you run motorbike yourself.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you for speaking with us. All right, folks. So thank you, folks, for listening and watching. We will definitely go live again as we observe this in enforcement exercise that is ongoing.